This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The 5 elements beast taming ring and the proud spear began to crack under the sound of the bell, and they were about to turn into ashes at any time. Big brother Yunxiao, stop! Yi Fan suddenly screamed in horror. The disciples of the Hall of Holy Fire took out their profound level weapons to block the attack, but blood still began to flow out of their 7 orifices, and they were on the verge of death. In the distance, little Qing was also in a daze. Under the sound of the bell, it almost lost its spiritual intelligence and was reduced to nothingness. But what was strange was that although Yi Fan also had the cultivation base of a martial emperor, he did not seem to be affected by the power of the vessel. Neither Li's 9-Li war drum nor Yunxiao's dynasty bell had any effect on him. Yunxiao frowned. With his cultivation base, he could not control the dynasty bell at all. He could not gather the sound waves into a line and launch a single attack like Li. Every time he shook the dynasty bell, the sound waves would spread out indiscriminately. As a result, the first ones to be destroyed would be Little Qing, the Rat Emperor, and the people of the Hall of Holy Fire. In the distance, the big demons were all calm. Other than Shang, everyone else had 9th-tier mystic artifacts in their hands. They also exuded a powerful artifact aura, which dissipated the power of the sound wave. For some reason, Shang was not affected by the sound wave either. Let's go. Yunxiao cried out softly as he took the dynasty bell back and gently rotated it in his palm, looking exquisite and small. Both Femi and Che Shuyao spat out a mouthful of blood. They grabbed the remaining Xian artifacts and escaped with their lives. In this situation, there was basically no hope of snatching Noah's ship. Leaving or being able to do so seemed to be an extravagant hope. At this moment, only Yunxiao, Zhang Xiaotian, Yi Fan, Tang Jia, and a few great demons were left in the space around the diamond-shaped crystal, facing each other. For a moment, all the 9th-tier profound armaments in this space exuded a strong weapon accumulation. Each of them seemed to suppress a part of the space, repelling each other. Zhang Xiaotian's soul-devouring flag and his fief's 5 elements beast-controlling ring were slightly inferior, but they were also quasi-9th-rank existences. They both opened up their own space, but their momentum was much weaker. The rest of the people all had extremely ugly expressions. As the weapon's pressure from the crystal continued to grow, their power was suppressed to an extremely weak level. Shen Feng and the 9-winged spirit snakebird were originally powerful existences, but now they were only left with an 8th-rank battle saber. They were much weaker than the others. The most miserable ones were Little Qing, the Rat Emperor, Ngu Duangyu, and the people from the Hall of Holy Fire. They either had no profound level weapons at all and became completely useless, or they only had 7th-tier profound level weapons at most, which was not even worth mentioning. These people had already tried their best to stay away from the diamond-shaped crystal and avoid the battlefield to avoid being implicated. The balance of power in the entire arena immediately tilted. There were 4 9th-tier profound armaments among the great demons, plus Tang Jia's vermilion bird saber. They shone on each other and were extremely powerful. Good fortune has come, I'm the one with the destiny. Even the heavens are helping me. Brother He, help me seize Noah's ship. I will definitely use all the power of the 4 extreme sect to help you recover to your peak. Tang Jia was extremely excited. Shang's gaze fell on the diamond-shaped crystal, and he recited, "A saint artifact?" To be able to possess a saint artifact was indeed the will of the heavens. But does that saint artifact really belong to you? Tang Jia frowned, and an unhappy look flashed across his face. The situation is one-sided. As long as brother He is willing to help me, I can't think of anyone who is qualified to compete with me. Shang's face was expressionless as he nodded slightly, all right, I'll help you. This is your human saint weapon, it doesn't belong to my monster race. However, no matter if we succeed or not, you must do your best to help us recover our strength. No problem. Tang Jia was overjoyed and agreed on the spot. The light in his eyes flickered constantly, and he was so excited that he could hardly control himself. Li Yunxiao, I know that you have a 9th-tier mystic artifact in addition to this bell, but do you think you can fight against the 5 of us alone? If you don't know what's good for you, I don't mind sending you to the west first. Tang Jie grinned. The vermilion bird saber in his hand became redder, and tool essence continuously spread out, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Yunxiao looked at him as if he were a fool and sneered, "Many times, I hate stupid people. This is the space of profound armaments, we are competing on the quality of the profound armaments and not the quantity. My dynasty bell is at least a 9th level upper grade existence, so don't bring out your trashy 9th level profound armaments to embarrass yourselves." With a pat, the dynasty bell immediately let out a deep bell sound that reverberated in the entire space. Its size became incomparably huge, and it blasted rapidly towards the space suppressed by the vermilion bird saber. The two overbearing weapon accumulations continued to press against each other, and they buzzed at the same time. Tang Jia was shocked. He could feel the vermilion bird saber in his hand tremble slightly, as if it was afraid of the suppression of the big bell. Is it really as he said, that the bell is a high-grade weapon, and my vermilion bird saber is a low-grade weapon? He didn't have the time to think about it anymore. The dynasty bell was constantly pressing down on him, and the space created by the vermilion bird saber was about to be crushed. "Brother help me." Tang Jia hurriedly cried for help in horror. Boom boom boom. The 9 Li war drum rushed over and hit the dynasty bell. The two were both soundwave profound level weapons, and they both exuded a terrifying ancient charm around them. They released an extremely strong spiritual pressure that spread out in all directions, and it seemed that they were neck and neck. The space opened up by Tang Jia's vermilion bird saber was being compressed and shrunk under the spiritual power of the two profound level weapons, as if it was about to withdraw from the battlefield. Profound armament quality and grade, the difference was immediately determined. The dynasty bell was one of the 9th-tier profound armaments used to suppress the great demon. Naturally, it had an extraordinary origin. The Jiuli war drum was a sacred item passed down from ancient times. It was also very powerful. Shang's expression changed as he exclaimed, "That ancient bell can resist the 9 Li war drum?" His eyes were filled with disbelief. It was obvious that he had high expectations for the 9 Li battle drum. He was in disbelief. An astonishing sword beam suddenly appeared, and Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent. The tail light sword shot out a powerful sword beam in the darkness, which bloomed in the sky like fireworks. It was as fast as lightning, and it was about to completely kill Yunxiao. Zhang Xiaotian's face flickered. He was originally on Yunxiao's side, but in this situation, if he stood on Yunxiao's side, he was very likely to die. With a thought, he picked up the soul-devouring banner and retreated far away, wanting to leave this battlefield. He wasn't greedy about Noah's ship. It was naturally good to get it, but saving his life was his first priority. Fuck. Yunxiao could not help but curse when he saw him dodge. Although it was within his expectations, he pointed his finger at the man with a sword incantation. A large amount of black demonic energy rolled out and formed a powerful defense around him, and then an exquisite and domineering black armor appeared in the air. As soon as the demonic sky armor appeared, the weapon accumulation ward appeared as well. Boom. The taillight sword light slashed onto the barrier of the armor, and a monstrous sword light burst forth and scattered in all directions, unable to break it in the slightest. Yu frowned, her face turning ugly. At this moment, everyone's profound armaments were displaying 100% of their power, and his taillight sword was actually unable to break through the opponent's demonic armor. Then there was only one possibility, and that was that the quality of his taillight sword was not as good as the opponent's. They're all high-grade items. Where did this kid get so many good things? Could it be that you dug up the grave of some ancient almighty? Shang was also shocked. Although he knew that Yunxiao had many profound level weapons, he did not expect them to be of such high quality. What worried him even more was the purple cauldron, which seemed to be a saint weapon as well. However, even godly state experts might not be able to unleash 100% of the saint artifact's power. Besides, this space was only a unique existence formed by the suppression of Noah's ship. If another sacred artifact appeared and broke the enchantment, the suppression force of Noah's ship might disappear. At that time, Yunxiao would be the one at a disadvantage. Yunxiao seemed to have thought of this as well, which was why he had been holding back and did not dare to throw out the cauldron of mountain and river. He could still suppress martial sovereigns and fight against great demons with the help of the Dynasty Bell and the Devil Sky Silk. If the cauldron of mountain and river broke the suppression, then the thief and Che Shuyao would be the first to kill him. Let's attack together. I don't believe that he can fight against all of us together. Yi moved his fingers, and light shone from them. 10 shining finger daggers spread out like a spider web. Fu raised his battle axe with both hands and slightly twisted his body, preparing to attack. Rings of weapon essence were activated around his body, and they were extremely sharp. Yu once again stirred up the taillight sword, and the sword spirit let out a cheerful sound, as if it wanted to drink blood. The 3 great demons used their 3 ninth-tier profound artifacts to the extreme. Their artifact accumulations and barriers shone on each other, ready to launch that earth-shaking attack at any time. I'm looking forward to it, said Shang with a smile. How are you going to defend yourself in this situation? Yunxiao's eyes were very solemn. No matter how heaven-defying the demonic sky armor was, it could not withstand the joint attack of the 3. On the other side, the Dynasty Bell and the Jiuli War Drum were at a stalemate. They were completely restricted. Yi Fan, he turned around and said in a deep voice, I'll hold these people back. Do you have the confidence to get Noah's ship? Yi Fan's heart twitched, looking at the rhombus-shaped crystal that was absorbing the structure of everything in the world. A small golden boat was getting brighter and brighter inside the crystal, as if it had been silent for 1,000 years, waiting for his arrival. His entire body suddenly trembled. At this moment, he felt his blood begin to boil and surge, as if he had been inspired by his ancestor. Initially, he didn't know how to collect it, but now, he nodded firmly and said, yes. This Noah's ship was originally waiting for me. Looking at him, Yunxiao was stunned for a moment, then he smiled and made a gesture of understanding. Then hurry up, I don't know how long I can hold on. Thank you, Brother Yunxiao. Yi Fan said gratefully. He strode toward the diamond-shaped crystal. Everyone's eyes were focused on Yi Fan. His upper body was bare, the diamond-shaped crystal-like mark on his chest was giving off a weak light, it seemed to have some kind of reaction. Tang Jia was shocked. He suddenly took back his vermilion bird saber and rushed over, angrily shouting, Noah's ship is mine, get lost. His blade slashed down, the vermilion bird flew out from the blade towards Yi Fan's back. Yunxiao's pupils constricted as he pointed out his finger. The demonic sky armor on his body turned into a mini-form and shot out. A monstrous demonic aura shrouded Yi Fan, and the armor turned into a solid body that covered his body, looking majestic as if a demon god had descended. Yi Fan was extremely grateful. He punched out with his right hand, the demonic chi formed a barrier around him. The vermilion bird struck the magic armor territory and instantly died. The grade of the 2 profound armaments was immediately determined. With the protection of the demon sky silk, no one could hurt him in this space. Yi Fan walked towards the crystal. Brother He, help me. Tang Jia hurriedly said. Yi nodded, he looked at Yi Fan, Fu, Yi, you guys break his armor. You killed Li Yunxiao. Yes. 3 cold voices rang out. Terrifying territory power spread out in the space. 3 powerful beams of light pierced through the sky and earth. The power of the weapon rhythm shook everyone's heart, making them feel as if they were infinitely small. It wasn't just the people who couldn't join the battle in the distance, even you and the others who had used the 3 attacks were shocked. Under the attack of such a powerful weapon rhythm, everyone felt like a small boat in the ocean that could capsize at any time. It was not a power that human strength could resist. Even Yunxiao's breathing stopped, and his blood seemed to have frozen in his veins, unable to flow. Yu's sword ray was 100% of a 9th-tier profound armament's power. Even in his past life, when he was at his peak, he would not have encountered it more than 3 times. I can only take a gamble. Life and death are up to the heavens. Yunxiao's eyes grew colder as he said in a cold voice, Shang, you're forcing me. If the cauldron of mountain and river could suppress all profound level weapons, I would definitely kill all of you, leaving no one alive. He clasped his hands together and shouted in his heart, "Demonic dragon, merge with my soul." In the depths of Yunxiao's soul, the demon dragon opened its eyes from a deep sleep, coiled its body in a strange posture, and began to gradually merge into his soul. A magnificent soul power suddenly spread out from his body, forming a faint field of energy around him. At the same time, his body began to change as dragon scales emerged on his skin and he began to demonize. This is the Swan and I's soul battle technique. Zhang Xiaotian was taken aback. The martial technique Yunxiao had just used was a secret technique of the Soul Devourer race. Although it was not very profound and powerful, it was very rare. The main reason was that there were fewer and fewer cultivators, and it was very difficult to find a soul that one was satisfied with. It was better to focus on cultivating the soul-devouring flag. As long as there was enough food to supplement it, it could evolve infinitely. His junior brother also turned pale with fright and said, "What kind of soul is this? It's so powerful that even its body has begun to transform into a demon. And why does this demon transformation look like a swan and I, like a swan and I?" He stammered, as if he was not sure. Zhang Xiaotian's face was gloomy. He gritted his teeth and said, "It looks like an ancient true dragon." The disciple sucked in a breath of cold air and said in surprise, "Ancient true dragon? Senior brother, is there really such a thing in this world?" "Of course not," Zhang Xiaotian replied. "The true dragon is rumored to be the true spirit of the 10 Directions divine realm. The demonic soul that he fused with should be the descendant of an ancient true dragon. To be able to manifest the form of a dragon, he should be a very powerful descendant of a true dragon." His eyes flickered with greed. To the disciples of the Soul Devourer race, there was nothing more important than collecting powerful souls. If he could find the soul of a true dragon's descendant for him to fuse with and cultivate soul battle techniques, in addition to the 9th rank soul devouring flag, then he would also become a powerful existence in the sect in a single leap. After Yunxiao's appearance had changed a little, he had become a little demonic. A purple light shadow appeared between his eyebrows and transformed into the cauldron of mountain and river. It flew out gradually. The cauldron was surrounded by a dense purple spiritual pressure. As the body of the cauldron changed, it continued to expand, illuminating the surroundings. Under the illumination of various lights in the entire space, the purple cauldron seemed a little pale and unremarkable, but no one dared to underestimate it. At the same time, Yunxiao was shrouded in the dense purple mist, and he could not feel the pressure of the taillight sword at all. Overjoyed, he pushed the cauldron of mountain and river with both hands and flew it toward Yifan. Yu's expression changed. He had a bad feeling. Even a peak martial supreme would be affected by that kind of power and could move freely. He changed the direction of his sword, forcibly twisting the sword beam of his taillight sword in the air and chasing after Yunxiao. Tang Jia looked at all of this in shock. Suddenly, he came back to his senses and ran towards the diamond-shaped crystal with a fanatical expression. With the vermilion bird saber protecting him, all the pressure was cut off. When he was 10 meters away from the diamond-shaped crystal, the vermilion bird saber's blade domain dispersed. At that moment, 3 earth-shaking profound level weapons arrived. Yunxiao stood in front of Yifan and said, "Don't let anyone get on Noah's ship. I don't want to waste my time. Don't forget that you are Yi Nanshan's descendant." Yifan's heart shook and his blood started to boil again. For the first time in thousands of years, the Temple of Holy Fire was so close to Noah's ship. If they lost this opportunity, they would never be able to return to this position. Yifan's eyes flashed with the determination to give up everything, to sacrifice everything. He shouted as he used demonic qi to break through the layers of pressure, charging towards the diamond-shaped crystal. The incantation gestures in Yunxiao's hands changed rapidly, condensing into 3 golden tadpole-like characters that lined up in front of him. He struck them 3 times with his palms and sent them into the cauldron of mountain and river. Whether you live or die is all up to you. As long as you get through this young master will provide you with good wine and meat in the future. Cauldron of mountain and river, cauldron suppressing the mountain and river. Bang. 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 The three characters made a crisp sound as they were slapped into the cauldron. Yunxiao's soul power was extracted by the cauldron, and it emitted a colorful light. I've succeeded. The 9-colored light shone out and circled around the purple cauldron. Then, it disappeared and returned to its purple state. Other than its huge size, there was no other change. This buy-in. Yunxiao's eyes widened as he kicked the purple cauldron angrily and roared, "Your sister. You dropped the ball at such a critical time. As long as I don't die today, I'll definitely refine you into a ball in the future." Empty, empty, empty. He kicked a few times in anger, but there was no response other than the sound of empty air. The 3 shocking auras fell, illuminating the surroundings with a pale white light. Just like Yunxiao's mood at the moment, the white light was as bright as day, completely devouring him and the huge purple cauldron. Boom, boom, boom. The huge attack landed on the cauldron of mountain and river and gave off a powerful light. It was as if the sun had suddenly exploded. The light radiated in all directions, and everything in the space was absorbed by the sunlight. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Even the diamond-shaped crystal that was constantly devouring the structures of all things had slowed down. The structures of all things were continuously being absorbed at an extremely slow speed. The light from the golden boat in the diamond-shaped crystal grew stronger and stronger, turning the entire crystal into a transparent gold. The endless structure of all things began to appear. Other than that, everyone else was in a state of extreme silence. What? Yunxiao opened his eyes and looked around in a daze. After checking his body, he asked in surprise, "I'm not dead? Where is this place?" At first glance, it was as bright as day. When he spread out his divine sense, he couldn't detect anything, as if it was a hazy space. He flew forward in surprise, but there was no change. It was all white like a sea of clouds. He couldn't see clearly or feel anything. Could it be the space within the cauldron of mountain and river? This was Yunxiao's first reaction. Even a supreme-grade mystic artifact could form its own space, but this vast white world did not have any spirit qi, as if everything had returned to nothingness, and he was the only one left in the world. Just as he was at a loss, a golden light seemed to appear in the vast white in front of him. It was faintly discernible and bobbed up and down. That's Luo. Yunxiao's pupils constricted as he turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed over. He was not unfamiliar with those golden specks, they were the golden tadpole-like characters. Great expansion divine technique, great realm divine technique, what would it be this time? He couldn't hold back the excitement in his heart. He was sure that this was the interior of the cauldron of mountain and river. If he could learn the divine art, then he would be able to freely control the cauldron. Dashi, 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 Daoist, Daoist, Daoist. Under his gaze, those fluctuating words seemed to suddenly merge into his mind, from a few words he could only recognize, to a full text. He read the words one by one, and immediately felt as if 10,000 golden needles were piercing his mind. It was so painful that his entire body trembled. He knew that this was the rule force within the words, and he was unable to withstand it. What made him even more anxious was that those words began to gradually disappear from his mind. Other than the few he had read, the rest were wiped away one by one as if they had never existed. Pfft. Yunxiao coughed out a mouthful of blood as he counted in his heart. I've learned another 12 pishio. He raised his head in shock. The golden tadpole-like characters slowly melted and condensed into the image of a meditating martial artist in the air. There was also a square pill cauldron in front of the martial artist. The whole picture was very vivid even though there were only a few strokes.